with the new number one. Number one Notre Dame versus the number 13 NC State this Sunday. This is going to be a huge game, not just because it's number one Notre Dame, but because College Game Day is coming to the Wolfpack for the first time, and one NC State student will have the opportunity to win $19,000. Casey, have you ever done a game like that before where you could win thousands of dollars on the line?
I haven't been to one where I can win thousands of dollars, but College Game Day is an experience in itself. My brother and his friends made me get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I want to say 4 o'clock in the morning to make sure we were out there on time. I was upset because nobody was explaining anything to me, so I don't know where we were going. But then when you got there, it was seriously one of the best experiences ever. I mean, it's one of the things that made me change my major, that's for sure. So College Game Day, with or without money, is definitely worth the hype.
That is awesome. I have never been or seen, and more so never seen in person. So that is definitely on the bucket list for me. But just imagining how exciting this environment is going to be to have the game day show, and then just having the number one ranked opponent on your campus. But I do think for NC State, this isn't as jarring of a game as it's probably being made to feel. It's just another ACC team. They've beaten them 3 times in the last 5 matchups in the past. And really, they're second in the ACC, so this isn't like it's, number 1 versus number 7, right? This is number 1 versus number 2 in the ACC, and just being in the ACC formally, those rivalries are real. You're very familiar with these players. You're very familiar with these teams. You know them very well, so I do think that Notre Dame is going to come out with the win if I had to choose which team would win this game, but I don't think that NC State is going to be as intimidated as the moment might feel.
Yeah, I think NC State's going to have a chip on their shoulder for being discounted a little bit. But you said it. I mean, the ranking difference isn't that steep, for one. For two, I kind of feel like there's a bit of a stink for ACC players who feel like that conference isn't as highly respected as in comparison to an SEC. I mean, I heard that growing up with my brother playing in the ACC. I like this matchup a lot, though. Notre Dame, as you mentioned, they took the top seed for a reason, and some of that goes to the players on their roster. One I'm a big fan of is going to be Olivia Miles. It's because the versatility of her play, but we love an assist queen. That's why Caitlin Clark got so much hype when it came to the WNBA. And what's so spectacular about the assist that she pulls off and the ranking that she has at the top of the ACC for her assist quality is because she can create so much time and space on the court to help set up her teammates for success. So that's going to be the interesting part to see how NC State kind of weathers that storm. Can they move along with those transitions? Can they keep pace with a player like Olivia, who's just going to continue to find and set up those lanes? So in conference is where anything can happen. You mentioned it. They're not far off. But how do you think this one's going to play out between Notre Dame and NC State, aside from Notre Dame winning?
Yeah, no, I love that you brought up Olivia and her assists and what that generates for Notre Dame, because in the same way as assists doing that, it's also really good defensive play, and that's what we saw from Notre Dame's Citron, right? Like, she stepped up the game for them defensively when they came out at halftime after their UNC game. It was tight, and she came out with a quick bucket and then a defensive stop, and that momentum just carries your team through. And what it does is it allows your other top players like Olivia to do what they need to do on the offensive side of the court, because they're not taking all the energy and the pressure that, oh man, I gotta make a defensive stop, or I gotta get a block, or I gotta get a steal, right? They're able to not rest on defense, because you never rest on defense, but it just gives them that ease of, okay, my teammates got my back. I need to pick up the slack on the offensive side because she's doing that for me. So I really think that's why Notre Dame is being so successful, is because, like you said, somebody is taking care of, all right, I'm just going to find the assist so that my girl can sit in the corner and hit the 3, right? Or just sit back and position herself the right way, and vice versa with defense, so that my top scorers are able to just focus on that and get their minds right for that moment. So I am really excited to see this matchup. I think there's going to be a lot of energy, but I just think Notre Dame having this calm and cooled collective vibe around them now that they're number 1, I think that they're going to take the win.
Yeah, they're so composed. And actually talking about like not resting on their defense, but I think that they thrive off of how their defense is playing. I think that their defense comes up with so many big plays. You mentioned the second half notion of Notre Dame's play sometimes. So like that kind of stuff is an energizer. It's a momentum swing, and it just kind of brings this energy and adrenaline to the play when your defense does something big, and then it's like, all right, now I got to match that hype. I got to match that pace. So I think that that's something to look forward to for Notre Dame playing.
Definitely. And if you look at NC State's schedule too, like this is not a walk in the park for them. They have to take on number 20 Georgia Tech on Thursday, okay? So like ranked opponent, might not be number 1, but ranked opponent. And it's been a hard week. Their attention is going to be divided until Thursday night. Their game's at 7 p.m. You'll probably get back to your dorm at 11, maybe if you're lucky, if you run out of treatment, right? Post game.
Right.
But then from 11 on, then you're now starting your Notre Dame prep. And so I think in that case, that's a really hard week lineup to get ready for the number 1 opponent, right? Like you don't have the luxury of just preparing for the number 1 opponent all week or even, 5 days. You don't have that. So I think this is a team that has been pouring everything out. They've had 2 really close games leading up to this with that UNC game. And so I think just having those long, hard fought games where you're not really getting your second line in, you're not really getting any subs in, that's when it's going to be hard because their attention is all on the game that is in front of them.
Yeah, and they're going to have to be careful with managing any sort of fatigue or like how players are going to respond and be able to have that high impact on a schedule because as we've mentioned, we're heading into the most crucial portion of the season of the year and every game messes with that ranking. So I think you're 100% right on. It's not going to be an easy trek for them, but this is going to be a good turning point to see what they can actually produce.